I'm Sharon Davidson. Welcome to my show, Up-Level Your Life with Sharon. I'm an ICF certified coach with over 20 years of holistic practice. This podcast is your toolkit for transformation. I offer practical strategies to improve your relationships, well-being, and overall happiness. If you're struggling with low self-esteem, lack of energy, or feeling stuck, you're in the right place. Let's up-level your life together. Welcome back, everybody. Well, I'm excited with the guest that I have today. Her topic's very close to my heart. Not that all the topics aren't, but I love this one. Melanie Kathleen Scott. How are you? And thank you for being here.
Hi, Sharon. I feel extra full in my heart and grateful to be here and just grateful for how life has been shaping up lately. So, yeah, excited for a conversation today, too. I just feel like there's so much that's so good to talk about on the topic of relationships and connection.
There is so much. I'm just going to tell the audience how I met you quickly and that I've actually experienced a little bit about you and being in your presence, which I love. You have incredible energy, really, really lovely, special energy. I met you at a networking event. I've also been to one of your events. And yeah, so it hasn't been very long, but you are special and have a lot to give the people around you, definitely. So, can you tell our audience about yourself? Who you
Yeah,
are, what you do?
absolutely. How long do we have? No, I'm kidding.
I know. Well, that's what I said to you before we started this, right? You're so multifaceted that I could have you for hours, and maybe we'll bring you back again.
I'm excited to be here again. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and really, speaker, coach, former attorney, you name it. Lots of different parts to me. But at the end of the day, I really specialize in relationships and human connection, what I call the art of relationship science. Because I don't know about you, but no one taught me how to relate when I went to school. When I went to grad school, I learned a lot of things about different subjects, but not about human connection and how to really connect on that deeper level. So that's what I specialize in, both in my therapy practice, in my workshops, and when I am on stage as a speaker. And I just love teaching people kind of soft communication skills, as I call it, because I feel like relationships are the lifeblood of what we're doing here. And yet a lot of us don't know how to
Yeah.
really relate in the ways that we want to.
Well, it's interesting that you said soft communication
Mm,
because that you embody a very gentle presence.
mm.
Now, before we go into that gentle presence, please tell the audience where you come from. You kind of mentioned it when you said who you are, but let's talk about your former life and career because you're not just anybody.
I used to be an attorney. I spent 14 years as a litigation attorney, working in the financial space for small to large law firms. Ended my career with the world's biggest law firm in both Los Angeles and New York City, and as a federal prosecutor as well, prosecuting financial fraud for the United States Department of Justice. So let's say, safe to say, a whole different part of my life, just kind of going about and doing that. Thought I was going to be a lawyer forever. Um, and, frankly, really liked being a lawyer in a lot of ways, but went through my own personal development challenges and journey many, many years ago. And in doing that, realized eventually that being a lawyer didn't really feel like my highest calling. And so ended up leaving the law and, well, going on a different direction. So a lot of the work I've done in the past has been around career transitions, and just how do we channel courage to really be that more full embodiment of who we are? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that as well.
I think that's a huge subject because I think that you embody this gentle strength.
Mm.
And so, talking about relationships and then even looking at women, and I think maybe that needs to be another episode about women in the workplace and what they feel they need to do in order to be seen or heard. and you can be quietly strong.
Yeah, I think quiet strength is kind of one of the most underrated things there is in
Yeah.
terms of sort of personality dynamics and parts of ourself. Like, I think we're often taught that the loudest person is the most confident or the person who takes up the most space, but really that deeper inner peace and inner belonging that we have inside, when we can develop that and then really meet ourselves from there, then we can meet the world from there. And so we can kind of sit back a little and know that we're doing a lot just by being there, just by showing up, and just by living in our kind of truest essence. Essentially, what I'm saying is we don't have to do as much
Mhm.
because we have a deeper sense of who we are. And therefore, I think some of that quiet strength can be more of a natural resting place and frankly help with a lot of things like anxiety or stress or overwhelm. Like it helps kind of diminish that too. Really important.
Does this go into you touched on the relationship science and the art of human connection?
Yeah.
Is this the science?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the skills I teach, so I've developed 5 core relationship skills, human connection skills that, I not only teach in the therapy space and with sessions, but also, in corporate environments or to organizations. A lot of them are based on kind of a softer startup. Like, for instance, Sharon, one of them is curiosity, right? Curiosity over performance. So if you think about what curiosity is, I think it tends to come from a bit of a more landed, grounded, softer place. It's like, huh, you over there. I feel this desire to know this thing about you, or to take a moment to inquire about something I might not know. That inherently kind of requires someone to not be too forward with their energy, but rather kind of have a little more grounded, settled place in them. And then they can kind of open up, right, to meeting another. I think that is more of a soft skill than a hard skill.
Well, I think even when there's conflict or when you want to point a finger at somebody,
Mhm.
when you come from a place of curiosity about why they're doing what they're doing, it's a whole different dynamic.
Absolutely. And like skill number 2 I teach is, listening to understand, right? Not to argue back. A lot of us, we want to make our point. And believe me, as a former litigator, like I get it. I used to relate that way, which is part of the reason why I started doing this work, studying this work. I never thought I would really teach it, just to be real. It's like in those early days, we're talking like 2013-ish. Like I just wanted to know how to do these things. And one of those key things I had to realize was it wasn't so much about what I needed to say. It was more about the kind of energy I embodied and how much I could actually take in another, how much I could listen to really get where another person is coming from. And I think a lot of us don't do that when we're conversating or when we're trying to connect.
Well, my father would say to me, just want to tell you, and I've spoken about this before, my
Mm.
father, he taught life skills. I mean, I wish I would have listened more then. He didn't even finish school, and yet he was so wise. I say he would have been a coach. I just have the different verbiage,
Yeah.
right? But he had and he would say, listen to what I'm saying instead of formulating what you're going to say back to me.
Yeah. We don't have to move so fast. Your dad clearly was really
Yeah.
in tune with that already. Like I think a lot of us are like, oh, better figure it out. And it's like, what if we just slow it down?
Mhm.
So many people struggle with what I just simply call the pause.
The pause.
Can I just take in what someone said, take a
Ex-
breath, feel my own body? What is it like to be me? Maybe if I want to go a little further, feel what it might like to be them. And then I can try to formulate a response or just even more so, see what wants to emerge naturally. Yeah.
100%. So,
Yeah. And
so
then our
number two,
vulnerability. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
you go ahead.
Well, then our vulnerability can come online and then we can
Yeah,
open up. And then that deeper relating, I think, and connecting can come.
yeah.
Harder to do that when we're moving fast and snapping and being with all of our points and arguments and very head like energy. So, really, it's that deeper embodied energy we're talking about here.
And being triggered into survival mode. So when we our buttons get pushed and we go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, there's nowhere we're our executive functioning skills are online. So it's to what do we do with that?
100%. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Mm.
What's the biggest misconception people have about relationships?
Mm. I think that they should last forever.
Mm,
I say that because of this, and I really hope people can hear this listening to this. Relationships are our teacher.
mhm,
They are a container and an opportunity
mhm,
for growth.
mhm.
And I think a lot of us have the kind of hallmark or the kind of like popular culture, like view of relationships that, you get together with someone and it's just supposed to be forever, right? I went to a wedding recently. I'll just be real, like extra real. I listened to the vows and I was slightly mortified. Like, I love love, I love commitment. There's no reason why we can't be with someone for our whole lives. And how can we possibly know that? How can we possibly know, right? How can we possibly know? Our heart can say, I really want this, but we have to be in a relationship, I believe, where we're committed to growing together.
Yeah.
I think that has to be the vow. Like, let's be the best version and let's really commit to learn what we can about each other and about ourselves ultimately in this relationship. But I don't think people come in to relationships with that vantage point as often as I would like to see. I think a lot of people just think it's supposed to be forever. Once you've committed, you're in it. And I think people really miss this idea that no, like a relationship is just a really big invitation to do your work.
100%.
Do your work and stop pointing
Or,
the finger. That's it.
I want to say something because I work with all ages. So recently, with a very young client, I turned around and said, "You're in front of me, therefore, you're the one that needs to change. And so, here is how I'm going to help you to change your energy and the way that you view a situation so that you get more of the outcome that you want." Because so relationships are relationships with yourself and everyone. It's not just we're talking about romantic relationships. But honestly, I literally say to these 12 or 14-year-olds, "You're in front of me, so I'm going to tell you, not you pointing a finger and saying, I don't like that, but this is what we're going to do here."
Yeah. Yeah. I love saying in a therapy session or a coaching session with someone when they're start talking too much about the other person. And I'm like, I don't know, they're not here, but you're here. Let's talk about you. What's your pattern here? What's your contribution to the dynamic? What are your
Exactly.
struggles?
And the other thing that I see with relationships is this going beyond where you are. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, you are handsome, you are smart, you make a good living, and you are it. I'm going to marry you. Now, does it happen that people have this connection straight away and have that happily ever after? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need to gather information and not project what it is that you want onto somebody else, seeing what's in front of you? So I want to know the green flags and the red flags. And I've already experienced some of what you've said and heard some of your belief systems. But what are the red flags? Let's start off with the red flags.
The red flags. Yeah. I think someone who's not willing to grow. I think someone who's very opinionated and like can only be in their own viewpoint and not willing to really see it from another perspective or is curious enough to see it from another's perspective. It doesn't really matter how great someone is. I think if they're not willing to step outside themselves at least a little bit and try, doesn't mean it's easy or they know how, but
No.
a willingness to
Yeah.
learn. I
Yeah.
think when someone doesn't have that, it's very hard to be in a relationship because think about it, relationship relating, right?
Yeah.
That's a very self-centered type of viewpoint. So I think those are the two big ones that I really come down to again and again. And I see that people struggle with particularly the lack of growth, but also like a lack of willingness to develop empathy skills, to develop compassion skills, to develop listening skills. I think those are the biggest, of course, we also want people that are, like-minded and have the same kind of values. And I think too often people don't do that foundational work.
Yes.
And so almost that becomes a red flag of yourself. That's a
Right.
fun way to put it. Not the other person, but your own red flag that you haven't asked yourself, what do I really value? What's the foundation of the kind of
Absolutely.
relationship I want to have? And you haven't done enough to really suss that out about the other person. I
Yeah.
think that's like a self red flag that you need to fix or address.
Because if your value's been violated, you're never going to be happy. If there's a certain value, if your top value is honesty and your partner is not honest, then you're always at the sub level, right? There's always this feeling of there's something off because it's if it's a top value, then it's being violated.
Yeah, we have to do that foundational work and we have to know what we're bringing to the table, just in terms of what we want. And I mean, I can relate. I think it's sometimes challenging to know what we want. Things sound great in theory, but like you said, we kind of meet someone. Oh my gosh, I can kind of project my fantasy and my dream onto them. Is this it? Are they the person that's going to make me happy or I'm going to be with them forever? And there's all this kind of like idealism that
Mhm.
starts to take over. And I think we really have to slow down and realize this is another person. They're not here to save us. They're not here to be our dream realized, right?
Mhm.
We're here to grow and learn and have an adventure together, not knowing what really is going to happen on the other side. But hopefully we choose well, because hopefully we've done enough work to know who we are and what we really want. And hopefully we can suss out if the other person can, meet us there. But we have to know what we want. And sometimes it's really hard for people to know what they want.
I think you're hitting the foundation of everything, right?
Mm.
You know, I said to somebody this morning, I met a neighbor who came to help me with my son's dog, and we were talking about relationships. These two young guys that are in the complex, and that's what I basically said to him. When you attract where you're at.
Mm, yeah.
So if you don't know who you are and what you want, how do you expect to attract that person that's out there if you haven't done your own work?
It's so true. I remember watching so early in the spiritual path, 2013, 2014, still figuring out this concept that like we get what we are, not what we want. That was new to me back then. I watched the Wayne Dyer movie called The Shift.
Mm.
And it's about a week at a Silomar, which is a beautiful retreat center up on the central coast of California. And it's basically just an interview with him and a little bit of storytelling mixed in. But that's one of the beliefs that, he was famous for bringing in his many books. But the way I'll never forget, I have goosebumps now bringing this back up. The way he talked about the attraction and how we get what we are and how the life's just a mirror and it's showing back like I wholeheartedly still feel that vibrating in my body today from watching that movie. And that's like the beauty of doing this kind of self-realization work,
Right.
these impactful moments where we have these ahas and then we go, wait, that's the truth? And then we can shift and grow and then yeah, see who comes in our field next as a result. And we start attracting different people and different kinds of relationships. But it truly starts within. And the less we can externalize and go out there, and the more we can really come back here. Ooh, that's when life gets good, Sharon. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think you can, like, relationships can come back from something? I mean, I guess it depends on what it is, but you find like people will revisit relationships. So at what point do you say, look, this is really not sustainable, or yes, this has potential, even if it's infidelity or whatever it is?
Hmm. That's such a good and powerful question, and that so many people can relate to. So many people that come to see me are in that place and just don't know, but are hopeful. And look, at the bottom end of the day, it's like it's possible, but it takes two willing people that really are, committed to doing the work to figure out what could be better and looking at themselves and saying, "Huh, how have I contributed to this not working?
Mhm.
What are the things I keep doing that are actually hurting you, hurting me, hurting our relationship? Am I really willing to go, huh, yeah, do that. And I'm going to learn to do it better. If two people are willing to grow and do their work, I think absolutely. I've seen it time and time again. My ideal structure for that is two people come in, we do some individual work together, and then we can do some couples work. We might do a little couples work interspersed, but my ideal container is to really have people kind of put a pause on anything about the relationship.
Yeah,
Let's go do some work,
yeah,
have touch points, but we have to be committed to like at least a 6 month container.
yeah.
But that's actually a really short amount of time. But people can really transform if they can put their heads down and do the work.
Well, I think that the work is hard,
Yeah, it's hard. It's not
and
for
that
everyone
you've
either.
got to be consistent.
It is.
You've
Yeah.
got to be consistent, right?
And you got to be willing to call yourself out. Look, it's so much easier to say, oh, them or oh, they did that. But we have to be willing to go, ooh, ah, ooh, ugly. Oh, I don't. Ooh, and go, ah, compassion. Ah, something else is better. But that's very confronting.
And retraining the brain to do that, the pause, new behavior, pause, practice. Because what happens? Why do couples have the same argument or the same thing? Why does that happen?
Because you're showing up the same way over and over again. And awareness, right? Like, look, it sounds so simple, whatever. It is gold. Once I'm aware that, oh my God, I'm projecting again. Oh, I'm making you my dad again. Oh, I'm taking out my childhood. Oh. Then it's like we're seeing through the matrix, right? Like it sounds super spiritual to those who are listening or not, it's like this is real life. You have stuff that's going to come up from your childhood, right? Stuff karmically, stuff from past wounds and traumas if you've got them. Like it's there, whether you see it or not. Like it's around you, it's living in you. It's your responsibility
Right.
or not. You get to
Or not.
choose.
Choose
You
or
get to
don't.
choose.
Like I've got a couple of clients where I'll say, you're going to be here in 5 years' time telling me the same story. If you're not willing to do the work now, just call me 5 years, call me in a year, call me, do it. You've got to
Yeah.
do the consistent work because when you do it, you see it. The minute you change, the minute you look at your stuff, the minute you show up a little differently,
Yeah.
your partner kind of will shift.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've seen this time and time again. Not only with my clients' lives, but my own life. Like that one person I thought would never change. Oh, wait, I do some work, I change a bit. Oh, wait,
Right.
what? What? But it starts here, right? And so having a mentor, having a guide, whoever, a coach, a therapist, someone at your church,
Yeah.
someone else that
Yeah.
it's like, but having someone help you get there is key, right? We have to have someone help us. Like, I really am a believer in that.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be here where I am all these years later if I didn't have someone going, oh, yeah, well, you might want to, oh, did you speak with
Consider.
me? Yeah, like, thank you,
I'm
right?
curious. You think that behavior was beneficial for
Oh,
you?
calling me forward, right? That real willingness, Sharon. I think that's what we're really talking about is finding that willingness inside to go, I could probably look at myself and then do it.
My father used to say to me, stop sitting on your brains. Stop being so stubborn.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, nope, happy to be stubborn. I was. I mean,
Yeah.
and he was right. Because he would say to me, when you're softer, not manipulative, but when you're softer and you're kinder, you're going to maybe get a little bit more. You don't, it's just open up your heart a little bit. And I'm
Yeah,
like, nope.
that armoring, right? The masks.
Yeah.
It really can keep the love out too. And I see that time and time again perpetually with couples that get in the dynamics, and then there's that calcification, the resentment, the you nevers, you always type stuff. And I'm a communication specialist, so I'll come in, people will be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
say that again, right? Because we're just trying to express pain. And I've had so much like compassion and humility just come in like and just like, whoa, because people are trying to express
Yeah.
the
They
hurt,
just
but they
don't have
just,
the language.
yeah. And
They
so
don't
it's
know
like,
how to say, this feels disrespectful. I'm angry at you. But why? This because I feel disrespected because of when I was young. Da, 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 da.
yeah,
What it is it's highlighting.
yeah. And this is what I need, or this is where I'm at. This is what I'm going to go do to try to regulate. Like people don't even realize they are dysregulated. Like it's already so hard to be a person, be a human, be in this body, be in this lifetime, in my opinion. There's already so many
Yeah,
worldly things.
totally. Yeah.
And then we have all these feelings and all these hormones and all this stuff happening in our bodies. And then, yeah, we're relating and things hurt. And it's like, that's why I feel so passionate about this work because we want to love well. I really believe that. We want to communicate well. We just need the tools
We do.
and we need help
And
learning.
I wish that communication and relationships and connection were taught in school, as you say, because it's the foundation. Because it's not just romantic relationships; it's
Yeah.
relationship with everyone.
Yeah, including yourself, right? I mean, so
Including,
many
well, it
people.
starts with yourself. If you don't have
Yeah.
self love, like how are you going to not be judgmental of somebody else if you're judging yourself so harshly?
Yeah. So it's really about cleaning up all the language, right?
Right.
And as a lawyer too, I loved the construction of words. I loved writing. That was one of the main reasons why I became a lawyer. I loved crafting an argument. I loved crafting just the beauty of words, putting them together and creating something that was persuasive and telling and powerful. Well, wait a minute, that applies to human connection and
Yeah.
relating. How do we put our words together to express what it's like to be us on the inside? Because we feel it, but time and time again, people don't know what's really going on. So I call it a weather report. Let's give a weather report.
Yeah.
What's the internal weather?
Yeah.
Let your partner know this is what it's like to be me right now, while staying
Yeah.
open, hearing what it's like to be them, of course.
Yeah. I have two things I want to touch on. One, people that are looking for love, looking for relationships. What are some of the tips that you would give them to say, hey, you know what, kind of navigate it this way?
Hmm.
That's the first question.
Okay. I would say getting clear on what you want is one. Right? Doing that values work is number two. They're kind of tied, but knowing what do you really value in relationship? What are you looking for? What do you want? And that's tied to your own self-identity. So if you haven't done the values work, you can do it, go get a values worksheet online and start looking at it. Or you can, yeah, work with someone like myself or you or another guide and kind of get clear on that. I would say three, it's really a self-affirming
Yeah.
exercise. Dating is like a deep intimacy with you, right? So self-honoring, self-listening, and self-trust are kind of the holy trinity. So I would say bring more attention to that. I think a lot of women in particular, but men can relate to this, are like, I'm so fixated on is he or she gonna pick me? Becomes
Yeah.
very externally driven. Is this going to be the one? Am I going to, are we going to reach the goal? Are we going to get to date number two? It's so heavily out there that what I'm talking about as a tip is bring it back inside and be like, how can I be with myself through this process? How can
Mm,
I trust my own body and what I'm feeling like? Oh, does this not feel like, something's not right? Do I feel like I want to lean in and really kind of have this deep intimacy with yourself throughout? It's brilliant, it's beautiful, and it can help you grow. So having like a journal or something where you can kind of like jot down and kind of trace your own reflections, but really bringing it back to yourself, Sharon, I think is a big tip. I think most people don't do it that way.
I think it's the most important thing. It's the first piece
Yeah.
is how are you with yourself? Like, how
Yeah.
do you get rid of all of the things
Yeah.
and all of the baggage and all of the trauma
Yeah.
and all of the stories and all of the so that you are bringing a cleaner slate and you
Oh,
can do
yeah.
it together with somebody, but you both got to be willing. You've got to be have that person that's holding a safe space for you to do the work together.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I mean, I'll out myself here, right? I talk about getting, people having being outed in therapy or coaching. It's like sometimes there's a part of me that wants to be a chameleon with another. If I'm like
Yeah.
feeling that relational energy, I can feel the part of me that's like wants to kind of like, oh, kind of almost leave myself. Like, and I've had to really know her over the years, the part of me that's like, and I'll kind of get external and kind of focus heavily on them. Right. So I'm speaking to myself. I've really had to be like, nope, bring it back to me. And now I've gotten pretty good at like resting here as
Yeah.
opposed to being out there. But it took a lot of years of like, having to go, no, like,
Yes.
don't leave myself,
Yes.
no matter what the
Yeah.
situation, dating, work, professional,
Yeah.
otherwise. And like, that has been a deep rewarding growth path for me. But I think a lot of us can get tripped up in this area.
I totally say that. I would have just, I leaned in and just gone with, and a lot of people do that, right? He likes Chinese. I'm now suddenly like
Yeah,
Chinese. And you
my
hear
favorite.
people say that, oh, she loved it until she didn't,
Yep.
because she was going with the flow to be compliant.
I
So
know.
then it goes back to what are top values? What can you let go of? What's absolutely not negotiable or you don't care about at all? But it goes back to that piece of you've got to know yourself.
Yeah. And what's my
And
yes and what's my no? I mean, I'm astonished by the number of people that just benefit from a yes and no practice, more so a no practice. No practice meaning let's get good at saying nope, nope,
right,
no. Like just being able to like, that does not work for me. And then you can offer, but this would. Ooh.
absolutely.
Right? But people, those kind of the boundary oriented work and just knowing like where are my own limits and how do I first and foremost honor them myself? Oh,
Mm.
dating is such a good relationships are such a good teacher for that.
Such a good teacher. But Melanie, I think a lot of it's fear.
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
going to find somebody. I think dating is so hard, and there's so this, the internet dating has created a dynamic of, oh, she's prettier. He's. There's so many fish in the sea,
Yeah.
supposedly, and yet I think that a lot of people operate from fear. If I don't pick him, then will I find somebody else?
That's such a good point. That fear and that lack mentality and that what if mentality, like we have to feast on the glory of our own life.
Yeah,
Like we have to really sit down and break bread with ourselves
yeah,
and celebrate being with ourselves no matter what, right? We came into this life alone. Frankly, we're leaving this life alone, right?
yeah,
Technically, of course, lots of connection, spirituality, all that is with us, but really it starts and ends here.
yeah.
We have to get so good at being on our own that we can rest there. And then I think one of the secrets, Sharon, and let's just say it here, why not? Is that then we actually are less alone. Because when I've got so much companionship and belonging here, guess what happens out here? It all shows up.
Well, you're not chasing. You're not bleakly
Exactly.
chasing, right? And I
Yeah.
said to somebody, yes, said to a client yesterday, I used to read my kids the Shel Silverstein books, The
Yeah.
Missing Piece and the Big
Oh,
O, and when they were little, from when they grew up, like from when they were
yeah.
born. But the whole concept of the one is you're not looking for your missing piece. You are both whole, rolling together, and you're contributing to each other, right? It's not like I'm only going to be whole if I find someone to complete me.
Yeah. That makes me want to read those books again
I
because
know they're sitting. I need to take them out the boxes. I've still got them. My kids are 31 and 28.
it's such a beautiful piece. It's such an important piece. It is a foundational piece. Find it in nature, find it in spirituality, find it through, whatever it is. Like we all come about this different ways. And look, I remember a time in my life when I was like, oh, no more self-love stuff. Like I'm so over.
Love myself.
But at the end of the day, it is the difference maker. How much respect that you have for yourself, how much trust you have for yourself, and how much love you have for yourself fundamentally changes the trajectory of your life. Hands down, there is nothing different. There is nothing to argue about that. It is true. Science has proved it. I teach these skills in my relationship science method because it's indisputable. When we have that stuff on the inside, our life will exceed our wildest dreams. But when we meet it from lack and loneliness and depletion, it's very hard to do that.
Because what you're bringing up, Melanie, is that if something doesn't feel right and you address it in a very kind way
Mhm.
and the person pushes back or leaves you, you are okay enough with yourself to know that it was the wrong thing or the wrong person or the wrong friend, as opposed to you're in so much fear that if you say something that's going to push the person away, they're going to leave and you're going to be left alone.
I love that you just said that because I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, that.
It's like you can't say the wrong thing to the right person and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, right?
No, and I think we have to be willing to be on our own. Like
Yeah.
when you said earlier, like the people have fear about being picked or not meeting someone. I think those beliefs come from a place, well, it's not okay to be single.
Yeah.
And I think our society has done a pretty damn good job at reinforcing those beliefs. And we have to look them in the eyes and be like, do I really believe that? Am
Well,
I
it's
really not
interesting.
okay on my own?
Well, it's interesting because in South Africa, I only got married at 28 and
Mm.
I was on the shelf. I mean,
Yeah.
but it wasn't from lack of people around me. I just
Mhm.
couldn't see the people that were in front of me. There were some really nice guys. I just wasn't in that place to see those really nice guys.
Mm.
So, and was meant to have the children that I have. So I'm not, I believe everything was meant to be.
Yeah.
But in South Africa at 28, people were getting married at 21, 22, 23,
Yeah.
really young. It was like, there's something wrong with you. You know, you haven't
Yeah.
found the person. Why are you so picky?
Oh my gosh, I know. We shame each other so well. You're
Yeah.
picky, you're high maintenance, you're this, you're
Yeah.
that.
What's wrong
You
with you?
know, actually the marriage statistics, at least in the States, are pretty staggering that people are getting married so much older than they used
Yeah.
to. And waiting to have kids, not having kids.
Or
To,
not getting married.
yeah, or yeah,
Not getting
never.
married at all.
Intentionally choosing singlehood, decentering the other sex, as some of the lingo would be online and on social media, like really choosing to, yeah, build a life around not being coupled. And it
Yeah.
really fascinating. And I think actually good for a lot of people. I think the downside of that is now we have a bit of a connection crisis where people predominantly used to get their sort of relating and connecting needs through their primary relationship. And now when they're not pursuing primarily relationships, people feel lonely, alone. They're resorting to social media too much, being online, video games, substance use, you name it. So we're kind of in the now we have to come back towards the center of just finding community and connection.
Right.
And I think that's actually gorgeous because I really am a believer that we need community at the
Totally.
core of our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think a romantic relationship, my personal philosophy, is a part of that and a
Yeah.
very important part. But I really don't personally, it's just me. I don't believe that it should be the center of someone's world.
Right.
I think it's like a very important part of the ingredient list, but community needs to be on there, relationship with self, having a purpose in the world. These are things that are equally as important.
Because then you're not striving from fear. Your needs are being met. You're feeling supported. When your life is full, you're not looking for that. You know, and I remember when I first started dating after I got divorced, and I felt like I was going on dates because I wanted the connection, but that
Yeah.
was shouldn't really have been the place that I was looking for the connection, right? It should have been an addition to.
It's so true. It's like the Jerry
Yeah,
Maguire line. I'm not a big movie quoter, but Jerry Maguire, pretty famous movie. Renee Zellweger, and then Tom Cruise comes in and whatever. You complete me, and it's like
yeah,
that's the fantasy, right?
right.
Um, and yeah, we have to have, I think, a life. We have to build and construct a life that feels really satiating.
Yes,
And it's too much pressure, frankly, to put on one person
yes,
to be all for you. And I think that's another mistake to your question earlier that people make is they look for a partner to be everything.
yes,
That is a lot of freaking pressure. And I think puts relationships, romantic ones, at kind of a downfall. I
yes,
think it's better
absolutely.
when we can have other primary relationships in our life, friendships, community that are really satiating us. And then we can bring our best to our partner, but not look for our partner to be everything for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I had a thought and I just lost it. All right, so what do you think when you look at the relationships? What is that thing that makes the good relationships? Because I think you look around and most people do not have. I think that the good relationships are really far and few.
Yeah.
And what do you think that one thing is when you look at couples and go, they have this, or they have a
Mm.
couple of things, but is there anything that you,
Yeah, I think of my teacher, Robert Augustus Masters, and his wife, Diane. Robert actually just passed earlier this year. Major reverence and just love for him and the marriage that he lived with her. I watched him firsthand, studied with him for years as a clinical psychologist. He was really an artist in this area. And he taught us that at the end of the day, it's really about open hearted self responsibility. I saw him do this with his wife, Diane. In other words, when something's coming up, when my triggers are coming up, when I'm not feeling okay, I don't project. I go, something's wrong. I'm not feeling okay. Oh, I need to tend to that. I'm going to tend to that. And they bring their partner into their inner experience without making it their partner's responsibility to fix them. And they don't blame their partner. So in other words, they developed a climate, a sort of a um, atmosphere or an environment, yes, in their relationship where they have a languaging around self-responsibility and accountability, but with openness. And so each partner is just kind of taking the opportunity to share what's happening for them, but ultimately they're doing a lot of the work to then tend to that. And then they can have really beautiful sort of interdependence and
Right.
eventually some co-regulation there. But I think that skill, while hard to acquire, sets relationships apart because then people don't feel at the behest of their partner's triggers or their wounds. They actually can see that their partner's working through them and that they can just be there and support. And they're able to support when they're not being blamed for them.
I love that. Can I expand? Because one of the things that
Yeah.
I say is that what I see is the people who were friends first, who had, because
Mm.
friends would never treat each other, well, that's not true for the most part.
Yep.
Friends would never treat each other the way that partners think they can. Like, in what world do you think a friend would put up with what you put up with, or the way that you treat your partner?
Yep.
So there's this respect that you have in friendship that you don't necessarily see in romantic relationships.
Yeah, the Gottmans, John and Julie Gottman, kind of the quintessential, king and queen of relationship research. They say the number one predictor of relationship success long term is a healthy friendship. So, absolutely. I love that you wove that in as a sort of simplistic foundational level. Yes, you've got to continue to spend time together, find things you like to do together, and invest in just being together outside of you
Right.
know, managing your lives, working and being a professional. So I think that foundationally, and then what I talked about on kind of the more self-responsibility level, you put those two together,
Yeah,
you could two are gonna be together forever.
absolutely.
Ever.
And one more thing, like, and I don't know if you agree with this, is consistent check-ins. How are we? But that's part of what you're saying, right? What's going on with me? What's going on with you? That's the emotional intelligence. What does the relationship need? That consistent check-in. Are we good? Everything good?
Oh yeah.
Something need to be tweaked.
I love that you said that. That's one of the first skills I teach people, weekly check-in, weekly check-in.
Right.
We're gonna put a reoccurring calendar
Yeah.
invite. I know it can sound technical to people, and I
I
say, you
love
know
it.
what? It's gonna be technical at first, maybe feeling because we're instituting change. So we need structure and we need to stick to it. So you get that on your shared calendar and you guys sit down and you do two things in the check-in. One, you talk about logistics, just get it out of the way. What do we got on tap for next week? What are we doing? So we're on the same page because so many disagreements start with the everyday living stuff,
Yep.
right? Missed birthday, you didn't pick up so and so, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Well, if we're talking, it's amazing. God, I have to do a little quick aside. How many people just don't, couples don't talk? They stop talking and then they wonder why their relationship's not working, right? This is a time when you talk about those things,
Yeah.
get on the same page, who's doing what, and then we get out of that technical stuff. The
Yeah.
second part of the check-ins, more the how we doing? How
Right.
you doing? Is there anything I've been withholding that I need to share? Right? And by the way, when's our date this week? When's our
Okay.
friendship and our date time? Because we need both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we need to wrap up, but I want to just share one quick thing that came into my mind about this
Yeah.
therapist that I had. And she would say she was, I loved her. Unfortunately, she's no longer alive, but she was a great therapist way, way back. And she said she would come home, and between her and her husband, they would decide who had the worst day. And whoever had the worst day was the one that got the attention first.
Aw.
So it was just that was the nurturing. Okay, we're going to deal with you first because it seems like out of the day, you need the most nurturing right now.
I mean, I think that's a good idea. It's kind of like you triage the day with each other, you know? And I think again, that's where that kind of open-hearted self-responsibility piece comes. Part of the self-responsibility is just like actually telling yourself, admitting it was a bad day.
Yeah.
Because so many of us kind of want to, I think, pretend or just kind of like, it's not okay. Like, I need to have it all together all the time. It's like, no, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't have a good day. And then being willing to tell our partner, then they can show up for us, hopefully, in
Ask
some way.
for what you need, right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
Melanie, we could carry on talking for another for hours. But you know what? This was amazing. Thank you. And I appreciate you. And I just love your energy when I see you and for what
Mhm.
you do for the world. So please tell our audience where they can find you.
Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for having me. I loved this conversation and just being with you today, talking about relationships and connection. Oh, it's everything, right? I know you get it too. Yeah, Instagram's a good place to reach me at Melanie Kathleen Scott, and Kathleen is with a C. There, you can click on the link in my bio. All my latest offerings are there. Of course, you could check out my website too, melaniecathleenscott.com. But if you want to book a free 15-minute consult call, you can do that through either of those places. I also have an event coming up in early August. It's a dating and sort of dating unfiltered event. We're going to have both communication and like a discussion on communication skills and techniques. I'm going to teach the 5 skills there, and then we'll have some mingle time as well. So if you're in the San Diego area, that's happening in early August. And then later in August, I'll have an event with Kevin Russell, who's a beautiful transformational guide. Well, we'll be teaching more about self-trust and have an experiential, embodied experience of being able to trust yourself more and listen to your intuition. That's later in August, but you can get all the info for that through the link in my bio on my Instagram page.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being here and see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Remember, transformation comes from action, not just knowledge. What will you apply from today's episode? Visit www.sharonsavitson.com for more resources. If this helped you, please subscribe and share. Let's up-level together.